Hello again, this is Steve Jarmon, Assistant Professor of Advertising here at St. John's University, and welcome back to the follow-up on our Super Bowl advertising segment. So this year's Super Bowl was quite the event. First of all, the ratings for this year's Super Bowl were the highest ever. It was the single most watched television program in American history. 111,300,000 viewers tuned in on that Sunday. Plus, we ate like kings that day. 1.25 billion servings of chicken wings, which equates to 100 million pounds of chicken wings, 8 million pounds of guacamole, nearly 15 tons of chips, lots of beer, lots of soda, people buying t-shirts, $60 billion worth of money generated into our economy as a result of the Super Bowl. And the advertising was right up there. While it may not have been the most original, according to most critics, there were still some gems which I want to talk to you about. And I asked you the 6 questions last time we got together, and you had some great responses. This year the advertising was really different. We had spots of very different lengths. We had 2-minute commercials, we had 45-second commercials, we had lots of celebrities in tow, we had 56 cartoon characters, we had Flavor Flav making an iconic appearance at the end of a Pepsi commercial. There were lots of tricks up people's sleeves to try to gain our attention. So let's get into our discussion now about the 6 questions I asked earlier. So what was exciting for me was to see all of your feedback on the 6 questions I asked. And the questions were all about what was the best overall commercial? What was the funniest commercial? Which commercial showed the best use of a celebrity? Which was the edgiest? Which one really pushed the envelope? Which one had the best use of a celebrity? And then which one was a total waste of money? Which is the spot or the commercial that they should have just not run and saved a couple of $1 million? So this year, consumers enjoyed more than 1.25 billion servings of chicken wings. That equates to 100 million pounds of chicken wings, which is a fairly staggering number. So if you've digested that, your 8 million pounds of guacamole, your nearly 15 tons of chips, then we're ready to talk about the advertising. So the first question that we're going to take a look at is, which commercial had the best use of celebrities? And there were a couple of answers on that front, but most of you gravitated to a particular few. One was the Chrysler communication with Clint Eastwood, and this was the spot that was 2 minutes long that kicked off the second half of the game. And the other one was an H&M spot, and David Beckham, the international soccer player, was showing off his new line of underwear. So clearly the women really gravitated to the David Beckham spot, but I think even men thought that that was a pretty cool spot. He's got an incredible body, his tattoos are interesting, it was affordable underwear, probably really hit the mark on a number of fronts, certainly got that brand on the map, and I think probably there were lots of women running out to buy underwear for their boyfriends, for their husbands, for their partners, so they could look like David Beckham too. Not. Then also there is the Chrysler commercial, and Clint Eastwood was probably an amazing choice to provide the voiceover. You may recall from Super Bowl 45 that Chrysler did a similar kind of commercial, and they used Eminem as the voiceover. But Clint Eastwood is the classic Americana kind of guy. Women relate to him, men relate to him. He carries a lot of weight, a lot of authenticity. He's a very credible figure, and when Clint speaks, people listen. So I think that probably for use of celebrity between the 2 spots, I'd probably give a nod to the Clint Eastwood spot for Chrysler. In terms of which commercial was the most edgy, there were a number of applicants, if you will, in that category. We had Fiat, where we showed a gorgeous Italian model with a man on the street. Chevy Sonic did a couple of different commercials with all sorts of crazy stunts. Again, Toyota was mentioned at this point for their reinvented commercial. People thought that was kind of edgy because, according to the New York Times, this was probably the first commercial to run on mainstream television that actually had a friendly moment for a gay situation, which is not that typical in mainstream television, although that's certainly been superseded now with Ellen being the main spokeswoman for JCPenney. So on the edgy, I don't know, I think it was probably a tie between Fiat and Chevy Sonic, but Fiat seemed to really capture the imagination of men, and that is a commercial that, or a brand I should say, that has been very much focused towards women. They did the Jennifer Lopez commercial between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and now this was a decided attempt to really bring men into that fold, and I think they did a pretty good job. So one of my favorite categories, which was the dumbest spot, which is the one that was really sort of an eye roller, and universally it was the GoDaddy campaign. No one really related to that. It seems to be an old idea, relatively stale at this point. They've done pretty much the same thing now for 3 or 4 years. I think people have moved on. Most people still don't know what GoDaddy does or what products that they offer, but they are tired of seeing Danica Patrick and other women in scantily clad outfits, not knowing exactly what it is. This is a perfect example of sex being completely gratuitous and probably an overused, done idea. The funniest commercial really drew in lots of different nominations, if you will. The Doritos campaigns always do well, and you probably know at this point that the Doritos campaign are ideas that have been generated by consumers. The Bud Light with the Here We Go Rescue Dog also received a number of votes. The Oikos yogurt, the offshoot of Dana, which featured John Stamos getting a good punch in the nose from the woman sitting next to him. M&M's also was mentioned here. I think probably the M&M spot was the funniest, and that's really what you fed back as well. It was a really kind of fun situation. Those M&M characters have gotten really sassy. Now they're going to high upscale parties. The whole play on words with nudity and chocolate and brown and whatnot really seemed to capture consumers' imagination. So I would go along with the group in this case, and I'd say the M&M's commercial was probably the funniest one we saw this year. The biggest waste of money category probably had two key runner-ups, and surprisingly, Coke fit into that category. You may remember the polar bear commercials. What I didn't realize going into it, and many of you did, was that of the two bears, one was to be a New England Patriot fan, the other was a New York Giants fan, which I didn't realize. And if you interacted with the brand on social media during the game, it actually would have swayed how the Bears reacted during the game. So the commercials were prescribed based on viewer input. It was an idea that was a well-kept secret. I don't know that many people knew about that, so I don't know that it actually worked that way. But I think people feel like Coke should keep their polar bears to Christmas because they've become sort of a perennial iconic favorite at that time of the year, and that perhaps the bears are better associated with the holidays and they should have left them out of the Super Bowl. So for the waste of money campaign, oddly enough, I think the nod goes to Coca-Cola. Then the best overall spot. This one was kind of difficult because there were so many good ads this year. Even if there weren't as many good ones as last year or the year before, there were still a lot of good, strategic, insightful kinds of advertising. And the ones that really rose to the top would be the Chevy commercial, the Chevy Camaro commercial for the recent graduate, where he's thinking his parents are giving him this yellow, beautiful sports car, and in fact they were giving him a refrigerator. The Volkswagen Beetle ad, where the dog was trying to lose weight so he could get out of the house through the dog door. The Ferris Bueller ad from Honda for the CR-V also got a lot of nods from you, as well as the Clint Eastwood Chrysler commercial. But I'm thinking that the overall best commercial this year was the Clint Eastwood Chrysler commercial. Very, very different. It was 2 minutes in length. It was topical because it talked about the second half of the game and America turning a new page and a new dawn. It was inspirational. It was aspirational. It was patriotic. It was flag waving. We all want to see Detroit do well because they are one of the backbone industries in our nation, and I think Chrysler really captured the essence of the American spirit. So I would give the overall spot this year for Super Bowl 46 to the Chrysler campaign featuring Clint Eastwood with the voiceover.